Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, entitled The Yoga of Wisdom. Presently, in the verse number 34, we have just given insight into yajna, different types of spiritual sadhana that purify the heart and sublimate the negative forces, anger into love, pride into humility. Yajna is sacrifice, and all the animals in you have to be lovingly sacrificed. When karma blends with yajna, more precise terminology, karma with vikarma, then karma is annihilated. There is no karma. Becomes akarma. That's the mystical algebra. Karma plus vikarma is akarma. Continuing this theme, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. Learn this by humble prostration, called pranipat. Spiritual inquiry, pariprashna, and service, sevaya. And the self-realized sages who possess spiritual knowledge will instruct you in wisdom. This is a very condensed writing. The whole setup for an aspirant to follow the path leading to liberation. How should it start? In a very profound way. Tadvidhi pranipatena. Find the inspirer, the guru who will lead you. Approach the guru. And how will you approach it? Pranipat. Pranipat, sastanga namaskar. You have to learn some yoga exercises. Fall prostrate, and 8 limbs of your body touch the floor. What's the meaning behind it? First point you must understand, we follow literally. Then if any session to start, it will take 1 hour just to go through the ritual. So all this is allegorical. Your inner feeling has to be purified, inner attitude. external rituals are encouraged, you are given instruction to follow certain rituals. But rituals should not keep you bound, limited. You should, being completely confined to ritual, that keeps you in kindergarten. That point has to be understood. But at the same time, to a certain extent, rituals must continue. At least to fold your hand. Coming to the important points. Why do people do Shastanga Pranam? What is the meaning behind it? Because everything that was introduced by sages had a purpose. Everyone, every soul is called Pashu. Pashu means, literally means animal, but mystically means soul that is fettered by 8 fetters, bounded by 8 fetters, means 8 restrictions. What are they? Grina. Grina is contempt. Lajja. Lajja is shyness. But shyness not of a modesty type, it's not of a cozy type. It's a shyness which is tamasic. You move away from doing your duty. If I have to dramatize it, I have to say, for example, you are interested in meditation, going to an ashram, but your friends around you, they want you to go to a bar. And you, therefore, any time the idea comes, may I go to the ashram, feel a kind of a sense of humiliation before them. And you try to say, please forgive me. I'm dramatizing it. But there are many ways of being shy, so that you do not feel strong with your own sadhana, but consider your sadhana as a kind of a taint and others shouldn't see it. It is not a taint, it should be. You should be proud of reciting mantras, you should be proud to go to satsanga, and so forth. But lajja is that aspect which takes you away. Third one is called bhaya, fear. Next one is called shanka. Shanka means doubt. Doubting Thomas. Next one is called jugupsa. Gossiping habit. From jugupsa comes gupshup. People sit together and with the chat, folk language, gupshup kar raha hai. Gossip kar raha hai. And when you do gossip, you are always talking about some people and their abnormalities. Next, kul, the family line, which line you have come. And you continue to be very proud of your race, from where you have come. Sheel is kind of narrow-minded modesty. You belong to a certain family that has adopted a certain culture of putting on cap exactly in a particular way. And many other things. And you just adopt it. You say, very proud. And jati. Jati is which class, which order you. The Indian society talks about caste. You belong to Brahmana caste, Kshatriya caste, you went to merchant class, or a teacher's class, or so many things. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are the general divisions of caste. All these 8 points I have described, they limit your soul. And if you are limited by these 8, the soul is working like a pashu, animal. Only big difference, animal doesn't have a record of all their miseries and they don't sit back. But human beings go through all, is much more advanced. They have their normal miseries, then they add to it by their imaginations, and they spoil their future by their predictions. So, to compare human beings with animals is rather not so. But anyway, without the humor about it, if these 8 fetters are, you develop that type of intention to shed these 8 limitations, and that's what all from north to south, all over the India, any devotee goes to the temple, does satsang. Implying doesn't want to be a pashu, fettered by 8, an animal. You want nirmal. You want to attain liberation. So tadvidhi pranipaten. This is called pranipat. Pariprashnena. Next point you have to understand, you approach spiritual teacher with jigyasa in your heart. Jigyasa is you want to understand, a hunger for understanding purpose of life. Who am I? Your own identity. You don't know it. Yes, legally you have an identity, but but the identity is very fake, because you never see your own birth. It's a hearsay. coming to a more serious way to understand, mind must open to these questions. Who am I? You see? What makes this little body, brain and some nervous system create such world experience? All the world you talk about, instead of looking at the world with big eyes, look at yourself. Look at the source. What is causing all this? The little brain, nervous system, a kind of a mystic iPad. And the slightest change, and all your perceptions change. Should you stay with it constantly, with this type of a iPad which is perishable? And again, you move away from one iPad, go into another one, from one body to another. Is this all that one has to go through constantly, eternally? So that question must arise. Who am I? What's the nature of this world? The world itself. How do you experience the world? Through your senses. So what you call the world is based upon the type of senses you have, your eyes, your ears, etc. If your eyes had a different type of capacity of vision, if you had telescopic eyes or X-ray eyes, you will be describing the world as Shiva-ganas. So, the world in itself is not a solid reality. Oh, this is all this I'm talking about, the inquiry, deep down inquiry. How can, then, having understood the mind causes this, then how can the mind, which is so fickle, how can it be controlled? What is the nature of controlling the mind? Karmas. How can karmas be brought into a burnt up state? How can we be free from karmas? I've just given you some points, but it's a vast topic. And that inquiring process an aspirant must maintain. It's just like if you are receiving hospitality and you must have a feeling of hunger. Someone has created a lot of food. And after all that has happened, you have to tell to the host, I'm not hungry. I'm joking. A mystic hunger must be there, and that is delightful for the guru and the disciple both. Another point also, do not accept things unless you understand them. I'm talking in the level of understanding. I'm not talking about someone is giving you tea, you have to understand. Statement is given, all is Brahman. And so, oh, Guru, you are saying it, so it's all right. All is Brahman. So there are two different aspects of sadhana. In bhakti, you simply listen and then you allow your own heart to work upon it. In gana, you listen and it's a process of mathematics. You allow yourself to work upon it, understand why is world Maya. What do we mean by Maya? And so forth. And therefore you find in the Gita how Arjuna goes on asking questions, even though Krishna has replied it already on that question. In Yoga Vashita, Rama goes on asking. And even though he knows, he said, oh sage, I know them, but I want to listen again. Because listening gives me great delight. All that comes under the word jignasa. And thereby you go on, you ask questions while communication goes on. Next point, sevaya, serving the Guru. Again, service can be very physical service, but it can't be for everybody serving the Guru. If 50 people have to do reflexology of the Guru. Serving Guru has a broad implication. Guru's intention is to help souls, allow the souls to discover their reality, Shivatva. The Jiva is Shiva. And that type of movement, you will learn to share with others and allow the teachings to flow. That's the central feature of serving. And there can be many other. Ashram may have a project to bring certain teaching to certain group of people or whatever. There can be hundreds of things every ashram has. So when you serve it with that, to allow the teachings to flow and blossom, then there all is service of Guru. One more point. Pranipatena, when we talked about Shastanga Namaskar, the highlight of this is humility. You approach the whole movement with Nati Manita. Symbolic of you approach, bowing down your head, symbolic of humility. Don't keep your head bowed down, otherwise you will get trouble. What I'm leading you to understand, the spirit of humility is the highlight of spiritual teaching, spiritual learning. If humility is not there, all the knowledge inflates your ego. With humility, you are assimilating the knowledge. If knowledge is assimilated, how does it show? You are not bonded with your ego. And that's instinctive. The soul has instinctively wondrous qualities. When something good you have done, wholeheartedly, and those who have been benefited by what you have done come to adore you, or recognize you, or praise you, instinctively you realize, instinctively you become humble. Because greater humility allows your heart to develop greater softness, more inspiration. But the moment pride enters, your inspiration becomes limited. And it becomes envenomed. So of many divine qualities which are called Davi Sampats, humility is described as in the end of all these. In the Gita, Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, fearlessness, purity of heart, for pursuing Jnana Yoga. Many other qualities are described, Akrodha, Tyaga, forgiveness. But all these qualities are described as divine wealth, Davi Sampat. In the end comes Nati Manita, the climax of all virtues, humility. And regarding the teacher, Jnanina Tattvadarshina, two attributes, two qualities have to be important. Jnani, teacher must know what he is talking. Tattvadarshi, but not limited only to what he knows. Because certain knowledge is shared with others on the basis of intellectual activity, intellect. And sometimes you can be very bright, intellectual. You can study several books of Vedanta, you can quote even the pages. But in practice, you are far out. So, along with intellectual knowledge, a guru, spiritual teacher, has to have another quality, experience. Greater the experience on the part of the teacher, greater is his ability to influence the disciples. Influence in a very powerful way. Sometimes a profound experience doesn't even require words. The very presence of one who has attained a higher level radiates. But I'm going into too much of a idealistic stage. Practical stage, always think of as you gain spiritual knowledge. First to gain knowledge through these teachings intellectually. Then as you assimilate it, listen, reflect, meditate, now you begin to experience, bring it in your life. And you have practically faced challenges and you have survived them. Now therefore, when you say to others, you are not giving a kind of a something indirect. You are not conveying some news. So all these points are brought into one verse. 35th verse. Yajñātvā na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhūtānya sheshena drashyasyatmanya yo mayi. Having known this wisdom, O Arjuna, you will never enter into the delusion of the world process again. What a loss. You will behold all beings within your very self, as well as in me. This is the goal. Knowing the wisdom, implying attaining a direct experience called self-realization. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, the Absolute. And the entire world is Brahman expressing in the form of, through Maya. Nothing is real. Real is from relative point of view. Even when you dream, you feel you are real and the dream is real. So as long as you dream, your dream world is very real for you. But then ultimately dream has no reality. All the world experience has no reality. They play a few nerve centers. So having known this, having attained enlightenment, you will not enter into the illusion of the world process. Put it another way, you attain enlightenment, the cycle of birth and death stops forever. But if you have not attained enlightenment, then your good karmas will give you a good birth. Your negative karmas will give you negative birth. And you have always the possibility. Your good karmas have given you good birth. But if your karma, if you do not have proper knowledge, then your existence is like the rice cooking in a kettle. You go up and down, and there is no limit to it. The ideal behind every aspirant is to have that vision, that strong resolve, and a deep understanding that your goal is not to come back into the world. Thereby, what I am saying, not to become, not to enter into other embodiments in a state of ignorance. To give you a little broader understanding, because what we are doing is on a very mature level. The idea to come back can be also entertained. Can come back and back again and again. But as a devotee of God. So if devotion has been secured, your coming back is only a fun. You will be helping countless people again and again. So it doesn't matter how many times you come back. That coming back is a totally different matter. Another point to understand, that as long as there is a single soul in a state of bondage, you are bound to come back, because you are Brahman. Coming to again a very simple way, Bhagavad Puran gives Kunti's prayer offered to Krishna. And that is a highlighted statement from the Bhagavad Puran. That's the ideal of the Vedic culture. And what's the ideal? Vipadah santu nah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. Kunti says to Krishna, O Lord, may we, she's expressing her wish not as an individual but all, may we, all those who are interested in attaining the highest, may we receive constant adversities. Adversities that enable the soul to have your darshan. Each adversity must bring a darshan of God. And that type of adversity we must have constantly. So that's what she is asking for prayer. Because in storyline, each time Kunti faced troubled situation, Krishna came to help her. Now, a maturer understanding, each time there is challenge in your life, physical challenge, challenges coming from outside, life is full of challenges. And if you, in that challenging situation, you turn to japa, kirtan, mantras, and spiritual sadhana, all based on all this, what happens in your heart is a darshan of God. Darshan doesn't mean that you have a total darshan and you simply get a boon quickly. If your anger within you, you find a change. You emerge out of anger and come to a state of humility and compassion. And then you see what happens to your heart. That's the touch of divine darshan. So darshan doesn't mean that it has to be some strange experience that you can describe. And when the Lord came, the light was flashing all over. She came on the Garuda bird. If I'm not underestimating her, that also can happen. But your sadhana is not confined to one type of darshan. All this is darshan. The touch of divine value. So, challenging situations must come in life to allow you to discover your essential spiritual nature. So never think of a life without challenges. This should not mean that you should invite adversity after adversity. That's completely wrong. For every adversity, you will do every thing possible to overcome it. And ultimately, the ultimate goal of darshan of God means divine qualities go on developing within your personality. And the climax, revelation, I am that am I. And as a result of this, if you have darshan of God, you will not be born again. Having realized I am Brahman, that attainment means you are free forever from all karmas. And then what happens? It's a poetic way of saying, apunarbhava darshanam. The world is punarbhava. So many exciting things come in the world with each embodiment. Even in one single embodiment, you see news breaking every day. And countless things come. But now with this attainment, you are saying goodbye to that world forever. Never again you will come into the world. Figure that all that's the goal of life. That's the essence of all religions of the world. Apunarbhava darshanam. Put in a very simple way, we have been experiencing a terrifying dream. And what's your wish? Say goodbye to the entire dream and wake up. Never to go back again. The whole movement is from misunderstanding to understanding, from state of ignorance to a state of knowledge. So yajgatvana punaramoham, having known this wisdom, you will never enter into delusion again. You will behold all beings within your very self. Another point, all these, not beings, not only the souls, the entire world, all the world you are experiencing. Think of your dream. The entire dream is within yourself, within your very bed. Nothing is outside of it. So if you were to imagine that while dreaming, you come to realize, there are people who do that, double experience, double consciousness. You realize it is a dream. Then what happens? You see your own dream's personality going through terrible situations. And at the same time, your mind is in a state of smiling. Because it's a dream. Nothing is happening. If you bring this in a profound way in your personality, that's the goal of life. No matter how things happen, Godward movement with God within you, you are completely untouched. And therefore, there is a mystic smile at all things that happen. Prasannatam yanagata vishekata. Rama's cheerfulness didn't go away when Rama was banished. And it didn't become enhanced when he was told he was going to be coronated. When being coronated, his face remains cheerful. Going to the forest remains cheerful. The coronation and forest is a dream movement. Now coming to more practical level, as a sadhaka, be good, do good is the foundation of your spiritual movement. Be good, how good? As good as God. A mother has to be goddess for the baby. Similarly, all your heart must have that type of love to help everyone. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. And do good. Doing good means adoring God in all names and forms. Adoring, again, I'm not referring to a ritualistic adoration, folding hands and before everybody. Profounder way of adoring God in everyone. In other words, in all your dealings, deep down understand, ghat ghat mein hai sai ramata. If you are helping someone and someone has been helped, you have offered a flower to the deity. So in Godward movement, as your devotion, love of God advances, that love expresses in the form of all your relations. So much so, enemies don't exist. You have compassion even towards those who do demoniac activities. What made this person a demon? A graceful person, how did he develop 2 horns? All these are profound ideals. So that's the meaning behind seeing God within yourself. I am one with God. Seeing God in all, discovering Godward movement within your personality, as well as every action that you perform has a spirit of worshipping God. अपि चेदसि पापेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पापकृत्तमः सर्वं ज्ञानप्लवेनैव वृजनं सन्तरिष्यसि. Even if you were the greatest of all sinners, you could cross over all sins by adopting the boat of wisdom. Another point now we have to understand, that you are following the right course. Your mind should not hold this mathematical calculation about yourself. That even God doesn't know how big a sinner am I. You view yourself greatest of sinners, as if you know everybody's sin. So no matter how your ego had developed the concept of sin, once the divine love dissolves the ego, all that you have developed vanishes. Negativity doesn't move away by mathematics. 1 ounce every day. Darkness, when the sun rises, darkness does not dwindle by cup. So the message, no matter how you may feel about yourself, your goal is before you, and you have absolute positivity for your future. Light is before you. You could cross over all sins by adopting the boat of wisdom. Boat of wisdom, all that we have been describing, how you go to the teacher and how you ask questions and how you receive answers, how you assimilate, all that has put you on the boat of wisdom. Once you are in the boat of wisdom, and the whole ocean of sins may be all around you, no matter how much, ships don't care. Here we are not talking about human ships. The human ships can collapse also, but this ship doesn't not. You are bound to cross over. You are bound to attain enlightenment. And with this I am going to conclude. ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकं बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्ष्यमामृतात्। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम हरि ओम।